Right. Namaste and welcome everyone for today's webinar on healing your life. It's a big concept, right? And it's an introduction to Ayurveda with Dr. Marc Halpern. If you haven't yet, please put in the chat where you're zooming in from, and I'll give you a shout out. And let me give you a background of what we're going to cover in today's exciting webinar. Today is May 4th. We're featuring Dr. Marc Halpern, who's an internationally renowned Ayurvedic doctor and the founder of the California College of Ayurveda. So, and again, May 4th, I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan, but I am. So may the healing force of Ayurveda be with you today. And so in this webinar, we're going to preview a two-part session uh, of Healing Your Life, which will be part of an upcoming Ayurveda wellness retreat in June. And the retreat session will dive deep into the practical applications of Ayurveda for holistic healing. In this webinar, we're going to provide insightful overviews of key topics, giving you a glimpse into the transformational journey that awaits. Um, and we're going to introduce the Pine Lake Retreat, the Florida campus, and the hands-on Ayurvedic practices that we're going to be sharing and practicing, like Yoga Nidra and Ayurvedic nutrition. Along with Dr. Marc Halpern, we're going to have Vaidya Rupali Panse at this retreat. So in this webinar, we're going to learn a little bit more about how Ayurveda aligns your body, mind, and spirit with nature, and how to begin building your personalized Ayurvedic wellness plan. So thank you for joining us today. Let me introduce. Were you saying something, Dr. Mark?
No.
Yeah. So now let me introduce Dr. Mark, who has a DCMAS and is an Ayurvedacharya. He's played an important role in the development of Ayurvedic medicine in the West. He's considered to be a preeminent practitioner and teacher of Ayurveda in the United States and continues to be an authority on this subject. He also develops new programs and courses like this retreat that we're talking about. And he is one of the few Westerners to ever who has been recognized in both the United States and in India as an authority on the subject of Ayurveda. He was awarded the All India Award for Best Ayurvedic Physician. He's a pillar in the development of the profession in the United States as a and also the co-founder of the National Ayurvedic Medical Association, for which he served as chairman of the National Committee on Ayurvedic Education. He's also a co-founder of the California Association of Ayurvedic Medicine and the National Council on Ayurvedic Education. He started his career as a doctor of chiropractic in 1987 when he graduated from Palmer West Chiropractic College. His journey, which I hope, well, actually, instead of going into the whole bio, I'm going to have Dr. Mark get into that later on. But it is an impressive story, and how Dr. Mark went from chiropractic college to Ayurveda is an incredible journey, and Dr. David Frawley was one of his notable teachers, Dr. Subhash Ranade. And so he's got an extensive history. He's an amazing person. We're glad to have him with Hindu University of America. And let me just cut the introduction a little short so that we can hear it from the man himself, Dr. Marc Halpern. So with that, let me hand it to Dr. Mark to get us started. Let me ask you to unmute.
There we go. Thank you, Ankur, and thank you very much for the beautiful introduction. Namaste, everybody, and welcome to our program today. Let's just take a moment to bring our energies together to settle into the present moment. Go ahead and just take a moment to close your eyes, unless you happen to be driving on the road. Just go ahead and close your eyes, take a deep, full breath in, and let it all out. Take another full, deep breath in. Let out all the stress and tension from all the dramas in our lives. Take a moment to relax your hands and your wrists, your elbows and your shoulders. Relax your jaw, the muscles of your face. your eyelids, the crown of your head. As you settle into your body, know that you are more than this body. Be the witness of any thoughts and feelings that you have right now, and know that you are more than those thoughts, more than those feelings. Consciousness and joy incarnate. Witness. Bliss of the blissful am I. And now take a moment to enjoy this quietude. If you've been introduced to a mantra, repeat your mantra. Stay focused on your focal point, either the point between your eyebrows or the center of your chest. And if you don't have a mantra, you can utilize the mantra of the breath. So hum. With each inhalation, repeat the sound so. And with each exhalation, hum. And let your breath, your mantra, and your point of focus all become one. Anytime your mind wanders, gently bring it back to your breath and to your mantra. Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste, everybody, and welcome once again to today's program. So as Ankur mentioned, we have an upcoming retreat that we'll be doing at the Pine Lake Retreat, which is right outside Orlando in Florida. And I'll be co-leading that retreat, and it'll be a 4-day retreat. It's an opportunity for you to engage in living the principles of Ayurvedic medicine. And I want to introduce you to some of those principles today and why it's so important. And the concept that I want to get started with today is the concept of Swāsthya. Swāsthya means, well, if you were to define the term Swāsthya on the surface, it just means healthy. It means to be healthy. We all want to be healthy. But if we go a little deeper into the meaning of Swāsthya, we understand that it's a conjunction of two Sanskrit, you could say roots, if you will, Swā and Stha. And Swā means ourself, and Stha means to be established or solid, rooted in ourself. So imagine that the idea of health means to be solid in yourself. Swāsthya, to be solid in yourself. When you're truly solid in who you are, then you experience optimum health, you experience your full potential. So I want to start out by talking just a little bit more about that. So what does it mean, to be established in yourself? Well, there's really 2 layers of that. The first layer is to simply be confident in who you are. This is to be solid in your understanding of yourself, to walk through the world with a gentle confidence, to be solid, to not be insecure, to be solid, to be secure in who you are. I know who I am. I know what I think. I know how I act. I know who I want to be, and I live in accordance with my awareness of myself. This is an important part of being healthy, and in fact, studies show that individuals with higher confidence have greater health than individuals with lower confidence. Confidence is an interesting thing, though, because if you become overly confident, you can become arrogant. And then once again, health dips. So health is strongest when you are solid in knowing who you are and living congruently with that. But it's compromised when you have low self-esteem. And it's also compromised when you're arrogant. So how is it that we come to really be solid in ourself? Well, that's where we bring in the next layer of understanding Swāsthya. Swāsthya means to be solid in the self, but there are two aspects of selves that we talk about in Ayurveda and in yoga. There is the ordinary self, which is our egoic self. I know who I am. I'm Marc Halpern. I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. I'm a teacher, and so forth. And I'm confident and comfortable with that. But there's a higher aspect of understanding who we are. There's our higher self. Our higher self is connected to the divine. Our higher self is divine. So we have a divine self, and we have an ordinary self, which we can also call our egoic self, or ahankara. And it is when we truly know our true nature, our divine self, that we really come to be solid in who we are. And it's what controls our ego. It's what controls our understanding of ourselves. In fact, if you know your true nature is spirit, then you will not have low self-esteem or arrogance. You'll just be comfortable in your skin, and you'll be humble. You'll be humble. Humility is actually congruent with confidence. That may seem unusual to you, but it is. It's a gentle, quiet confidence where you know who you are, and you're also open to realizing that you do not necessarily know everything. And so Swāsthya, to experience perfect health, comes from knowing our true nature as spirit. And this is the highest level of health in Ayurveda and in yoga. And in fact, all disease begins when we forget our true nature as spirit. Now, why do we forget our true nature as spirit? Well, there's a whole discussion that we're going to have during the retreat on how that happens and how that's related to how we live our lives. We're going to have a whole discussion about how every single day you can choose to live in harmony or out of harmony. And I often say that where there's harmony, there's health. And where there's disharmony, there's disease. So think about that. If you're suffering physically, if you're suffering emotionally, if you're having an existential crisis, then this is a reflection of living out of harmony. And the beautiful thing about this retreat is it's an opportunity to return to harmony. It's an opportunity to recalibrate yourself and reset yourself so that you're able to begin to activate the healing potential that lies within you. So when we forget our true nature, we get caught up in the dramas of the world. This is how we forget. We get caught up in those dramas. It causes us to forget, and forgetting causes us to get caught up in those dramas. So what are the dramas of the world? I mean, my gosh, there are just so many of them. And because that's what's causing you stress. What causes us stress is different for each person, isn't it? For some people, they're stressed out about family. For some people, it's finances. For some people, it's health. For some people, it's the political state of the world. There is so much to get caught up in. Every single day we wake up and we enter this world, this samsara, this illusion, this maya that acts as a veil over our true nature and a veil over the true nature of all existence. And what is the true nature of all existence? It's divine. And when we can see the divinity in every aspect of creation, then we have a harmonious relationship with it, because we realize that the divine within me is the same as the divine within you and the divine in all of creation. So just as I love myself, I love you. Just as I love myself, I love all of creation. Just as I respect myself, I respect you. I respect all of creation. And this is harmony. And where there's harmony, there's health. And where there's disharmony, there is disease. This is the journey that we're on, really, as individuals. It is a journey toward harmony. It is a journey toward love. It's a journey toward health. And all of these are interrelated. Harmony, love, and health, they all go hand in hand with each other. And they go hand in hand with knowing your true nature as spirit. Well, we forget. We do, because we're human. To be human is to get caught up in the world, and we do that. And we need sometimes to step outside of the world in order to remember who we are. And that's the purpose of a retreat. The purpose of a retreat is to step outside your ordinary life, to get on an airplane and fly to some beautiful place, not where you're going to have that elaborate, ecstatic vacation, drink alcohol and stay up late at night. No, not that kind of a vacation. A retreat. To retreat away from the world, the dramas of the world. And that's what an Ayurvedic retreat is. It's an opportunity to step outside your ordinary life and to return to awareness of yourself, to become more solid in who you are, to remember what you have forgotten. And that's the beautiful part of it. So we will talk more about that. Ankur will talk more about that as well. But let's stay on the subject right now of just this concept of health. When you forget your true nature as spirit, you start acting out of harmony. I do too. We all do. We act out of harmony when we forget. When we remember, we act in harmony. What does it mean to act out of harmony? Well, it means to misuse your senses in Ayurveda. To misuse your senses means that you're going to eat improperly. You're going to expose yourself to maybe unhealthy sights and sounds and smells and touch. I want you to think of your senses as portals or gateways into your body, not just your body. They're also portals and gateways into your mind and into your consciousness. Now, when you take in what is harmonious through all of your portals, your physiology will be normal and healthy. You will have the physiology of health. But when you take in what is disharmonious through your five senses, you will develop the physiology of illness. So you either have the physiology of health and healing, or you have the physiology of illness. And that illness can take all kinds of forms. It can take the form of cancer. It can take the form of heart disease. These are the two big challenges that we have in our lives. It can take the form of autoimmune disease, chronic illness, diabetes, headaches, unhappiness, anxiety, anger. There are so many different disturbances in our physiology, and they all come about from living out of harmony, from misusing our senses. When we misuse our senses, we disturb our physiology, and the terms for physiology in Ayurveda are the doshas. The dosha means fault. Dosha means faulty. What is faulty? Physiology is faulty. So we have three physiological, we could say, kind of overriding functions in the body. We give them names, Vāta, Pitta, and Kapha. I'm sure you've probably heard those names, but this is the physiology of motion and movement. That's Vāta dosha. The physiology of metabolism, that's Pitta. And the physiology of structure, that is Kapha. So when there's a disturbance in the physiology of our bodies and minds, then we have a disturbance in motion. That's Vāta. Means the mind may be moving in an uncontrolled way. The heart may be having an irregular beat. The nervous system may be firing in inappropriate ways. We're stressed. That's motion. That's Vāta dosha disturbance. You may have a disturbance in Pitta dosha, metabolism. You may not be digesting your food well, but it's not just the digestion that is on the digestive level, this main digestive fire, but there's digestion in every cell. And when the metabolism is disturbed on a metabolic level, then any cell can malfunction in your body, whether it's in your liver or your kidney or your brain. It could be an immune cell. That's disturbance in that metabolic function is the disturbance in Pitta dosha. And it can be a disturbance in structure as well. The structure is the physiology of the formation of tissues in the body. You have to form muscle, and you got to form bones, and you've got to form nerve tissue. And the disturbance in the physiology of tissue formation is a disturbance in Kapha dosha. You could have too much or you could have too little. And so that's all the disturbance in Kapha dosha. It's really just a disturbance in physiology. So when you misuse your senses, all your physiology gets disturbed. It's not unlike a plant. So let's talk about a plant. You see one behind me right now. If you're watching the video, if you're listening, obviously you don't see it. But if you do see it, if a plant gets everything it needs, lots of water, the right amount of water, the right amount of nutrients, good soil, the right temperature, and I like to think a little bit of love. When that plant gets everything it needs, it's going to have a deep, rich color. It's going to have lots of blossoms. It's going to be beautiful. You're the same way. You're the same way. When you get everything you need through your five senses, diet, aromas, colors, sounds, touch, it's all high quality. When you get everything you need, you have a deep, rich color. And you fully blossom as a human being. Wow. You reach your full potential. You're healthy. You're vibrant. You're able to perform your service to the world. You're able to perform your service to your family, to your community, to the planet. You have all the energy that you need. That's what we seek in Ayurveda. It's more than just being healthy. It's really about being healthy so that we can be of service. It's not being healthy just so that we can go out and have more fun. It's not being healthy so we can go to the beach more often, lay on the beach and, drink alcohol. As so many people do, that's their peak existence. I just want to have a vacation on the beach and I want to drink a pina colada. That's not what Ayurveda is about. Ayurveda is about keeping yourself healthy so that you can fulfill your highest spiritual goals. What are your highest spiritual goals? That's going to be different for everybody. But if we go into the core of yoga, your highest spiritual goals are to expand your awareness so that you can identify with all of creation, become one with everyone and everything, and ultimately be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. That is the highest goal. And to do that, Ayurveda says that it's going to be easier if you're healthier than if you're not. It's not impossible, by the way. You can have limitations to your body and limitations to your mind, and still you can become self-realized. It's just going to be harder because you're going to be dealing with that struggle on a day-to-day basis. Now, when it comes to being of service to others, it is hard to do that when you're sick. Much easier when you're well. So Ayurveda provides a roadmap for you on how to get healthy if you're sick. So during the retreat that's coming up at Pine Lake, which is outside of Orlando in Florida, during that retreat, we're going to be mapping out the road for you to get from where you are to where you want to go. Where do you want to go? Well, I travel around the world and I talk to people all the time. And when I talk to people, I find out that there are two things that everybody wants. They want to achieve optimal health and they want to have peace of mind. This is the most important thing that people want. People think what they may want is more riches and more comforts. But you know what? When you get sick, you're willing to give up all those riches to get well. And that tells me what's most important in people's lives. It's to be well. It's to have peace of mind. When you lose your mind or you lose your health, you'll give it all up. You'll pay all your money to the best doctors in the world so that you can hope to have life again that is unimpeded by illness and suffering. So we know that these are the most valuable things in our lives is health and peace of mind. So Ayurveda provides that roadmap. Ayurveda is the healing side of yoga. So we utilize yoga and we utilize Ayurveda together in order to achieve our highest goals. So during the retreat, you're going to learn how to use your senses properly. What is proper use of your vision? What is the proper use of taste, smell, sound, touch? What are you listening to? Right now, you're listening to me. But what are you listening when you're not? What are you listening to when you're not listening to me? Are you listening to music? What are the lyrics to what you're listening to? Are they harmonious or disharmonious? What are you looking at? What do you watch on television or in the movies or on your computer? Are you looking upon horror and violence, or are you watching something beautiful? Do you take time to walk through rose gardens? This is what we take in through our senses. It all affects our physiology. So it's interesting, though, because what's right for one person is not necessarily what's right for another person. That's maybe shocking. This is a unique Ayurvedic concept. Nothing is right for everything. Everything is right for someone. Nothing is right for everyone. Everything is right for someone. So you're unique. And what's right for me is not what's right for you. So you'll never hear an Ayurvedic practitioner say, oh, everybody should drink this tea right here, because this is going to make you healthy. When you hear somebody do that, you see a infomercial, you see a podcast, you see a reel, and they say, oh, everybody should have this product. But one thing you can be sure of, it's not Ayurveda. Ayurveda teaches that nothing is right for everyone. Everything is right for someone. So what it really is trying to sell as much of their product as they can. So Ayurveda is a path of understanding what you need. That's really what it is. It's the path to understanding what you need as a unique individual. What you need is based on your constitution. Your constitution is the balance of energy in your body at the moment of conception, and that determines your physiology. You came into the world with a tendency to be a certain way. That tendency is called your Prakriti. We translate it as your constitution, but it means your original creation. Prakriti, the original creation. Who were you at the moment of creation? What did you come into the world with? How's that going to shape your body, shape your physiology, your tendencies to be a deep sleeper or a light sleeper, to be worried or to be angry, or to be peaceful and joyful? It's all coded in your Prakriti. The closest we come in the West to understanding that is to recognize that each person has a unique genetic expression. This is called your genotype, and how it expresses itself is your phenotype. In Ayurveda, this is your Prakriti. It's what you came into the world with, and how it expresses itself is called your Vikriti. This is who you are after creation. Vikriti. After creation. That's based on how you've been living your lives. But how you've been living your lives is mostly about your tendencies. You think you make your choices, but most of the time your tendencies make your choices for you. Ayurveda is a science of how to take control of your tendencies and how to heal the karma. We'll get into that in more detail as well during the retreat. But how do you heal the karma that created your tendencies? That's the real work of our lives. And it's not easy, you know? This is why we struggle. It's why there are 8 billion people on this planet, and 8 billion of them have some sort of struggle. Because we have karma, and that establishes tendencies that are so often about living out of harmony. Those tendencies then disturb the doshas. Those disturbances in the doshas cause us to suffer in our bodies and in our minds. So that is really, why we suffer. So we'll get into that in more detail. And you can heal your karmas. I want you to know that. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a victim of your tendencies your entire life. Yes, you came into the world with them, but they can be healed, they can be changed. That's what we're going to get into. There's powerful techniques in Ayurveda for doing that. Ankur mentioned one of them. That's the practice of Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is yogic sleep. It is so much more than deep relaxation. So I want you to get that out of your mind. If you've been taught that Yoga Nidra is about deep relaxation, you've been taught incorrectly. Yoga Nidra is actually a technique for healing your karma. It's a technique for healing those tendencies that you have. We're going to get into that as well during the retreat. You're going to learn the deeper knowledge of Yoga Nidra. Think of Yoga Nidra, think of the relaxation aspect of Yoga Nidra as just a beautiful side effect of Yoga Nidra. Just as physical health is a beautiful side effect of doing yoga asanas. If you're doing yoga asanas, all those yoga practices and exercises, well, then the side effect of that is, a wonderfully healthy, physically beautiful body. But that's not the purpose of it, is it? The purpose of yoga is union, is self-realization. So during the program, we are going to explore beyond the 5 senses, and we're going to talk about lifestyle as well. What do I mean by lifestyle? Lifestyle is everything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. So I ask you, are you living a harmonious lifestyle? If you are, then it's bringing you joy, and it's bringing you health and well-being. And if you're not, it's bringing you something other than joy. It's bringing you anxiety, unhappiness, unfulfillment, stress, anger, and it's bringing you some physical suffering as well. You may be experiencing chronic disease. A lot of times, though, we can live out of harmony and not get sick for many decades, but eventually it tends to catch up with us, especially later in life with heart disease and cancer and more serious illnesses that occur. So lifestyle addresses everything. So we're going to talk during the program about what we call your Dinacharya, your daily routine. That's what happens when you first start waking up in the morning. So there are practices. Those practices are there to keep you in a state of awareness of your true nature as spirit. Things like meditation. During the retreat, you will have time to meditate. And if you don't know how, you'll be taught how. In fact, every evening, there's going to be a beautiful opportunity to sit and listen to the sitar, to do some meditation and some reflection. It'll really be some beautiful time. In fact, the whole program is going to be beautiful and support you to stay connected, to stay in remembrance of your true nature as spirit. It's lifestyle. It's lifestyle. So from the morning when you wake up until the evening when you go to bed, in life, we want to create harmony. Now, you may be saying to yourself, that's a wonderful ideal, but how do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, life is too busy to do that. Well, this is what we're going to talk about. And it's something that once you start to do, you really start to value. It becomes a part of your your routines. It becomes a habit. Right now, you may be in the habit of not acting harmoniously in the morning. You may be in the habit of rushing. You may be in the habit of having a disharmonious evening. All of those things. These are just habits. Habits are tendencies. You can develop new habits and new tendencies. The word for all of this in yoga and Ayurveda is samskara. So you can develop new healthy samskaras that are going to bring about optimum health and peace of mind until eventually you transcend all your tendencies and you're completely liberated. But at first, you got to develop healthy ones. So that's where we're going to go during the retreat, during the program. And whether you're flying there from India or you're flying there from Florida, you're going to find that it's going to be time well spent. When we talk about lifestyle, one of the most challenging things in our lives these days is technology. We're using it right now. We're using it beautifully. But you know what I mean. Because whenever you're bored, you sit and you look at your phone, and maybe even you're not bored, you're just kind of interested in what's going on in the world inside your phone, inside the virtual space, whether it's social media, or the news or a podcaster. There's always something to do, something to comment on. Maybe you're the one who is posting and you're looking at all the comments that people are making. It's very easy for our nervous systems to become high-wired, to become overly intense because of our exposure to the media, the technology. So think of the retreat as an opportunity to unplug. Now that may be the scariest part of your entire experience, but it'll also be the most rewarding. Unplugging is powerful because when you unplug, your nervous system settles down. When you unplug, it's an exhalation. Yeah, it really is. And your body and your mind start to become quieter. And when it becomes quieter, you start to remember. Now, this won't be a silent retreat, though you could make it a silent retreat. If it was a silent retreat, we'd get even quieter. You'll have time to talk, you'll have time to dialogue, both with other students, other seekers, and your teachers. There'll also be time to quiet down, time when we meditate, time when we do yoga nidra. There'll be plenty of silence. In the silence, you start to hear the whispers of your soul. The soul speaks through your heart. It speaks through your heart. This is how you come to know your true nature as spirit. When your soul speaks to you, it's incredible. It's incredibly empowering. You become empowered to control your lifestyle, to control your use of your senses. So if you can stay connected to your soul and unplug from the egoic experience of life, this is where the fruit of the path is tasted. This is that beautiful, sweet fruit of wellness, the beautiful, sweet fruit of inner peace. This is how we experience that. So I invite you certainly to join us during this retreat. Reconnect. Learn how to use your five senses properly. Learn what a healthy lifestyle is, but even more importantly, live it. It's one thing to know it. It's another to live it. One of my teachers, Swami Shivananda, part of the Shivananda Yoga community. One of my teachers, Swami Shivananda, who's a disciple of Swami Vishnudevananda, and a lineage from there to Swami Sarupananda, whom I learned from. We say that an ounce of practice is worth a ton of theory. It's one thing to know everything, and it's more important to do one thing. It's harder to do one thing than it is to know everything. So it's easy to spend your time in the books thinking about what you should do. It's another thing entirely to do it. So during the retreat, you'll have an opportunity to live the principles of Ayurveda. And then when you leave the retreat, you will have established some new patterns, some new tendencies. Those patterns, those tendencies, you have the opportunity to do them every day now when you leave that retreat. And here's what you're going to notice. Not only is your health going to improve, your relationships are going to improve. Your performance at work is going to improve. Your relationship with your neighbors is going to improve. Why? Because you've improved on the inside. And we learn in Vedanta that the external world is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. The world around us is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. So I want to leave you with a story for a moment. And I think this story exemplifies the importance of our own self-healing. And after the story, I'll take some questions if we have time, and Ankur could relay those questions. You can type them into the webinar chat if you wish, and I'll see them too. I'll take a few questions about the retreat, a few questions about what I talked about. And I'm sure Ankur too will have a few comments to make about the upcoming retreat in June at Pine Lake Retreat Center in Florida. So once upon a time, all good stories start out once upon a time. Once upon a time, there was a father and his son. This is a modern story, not an ancient story. His son is just a small little boy. And it's just the two of them in this story, and his father's in his office, much like I'm in my office right now. Father's in his office, but his father has to get some work done. He's got to pay the bills, he's got to do work. It's important. His son is in the same room with him, but his son is playing with some toys in the corner, and his son is getting bored. So he comes on over to his father and he says, Daddy, can you play with me? And his father looks at his son and he says, well, son, I can't play with you right now. You see, I've got to get all this work done. You need to go back over there and play with your toys. Oh, okay, his son says, and he kind of walks away, unhappy, and he goes over and he plays with his toys for a few minutes. But after a few minutes, he's bored playing with his toys. So he comes on over to his father again. He says, Daddy, will you please play with me? And he pulls on his father's shirt, Says, Daddy, please play. He says, son. Father says, son, I can't play with you right now. See, I've got to do this very, very important work. You need to go over there and you need to play quietly so I can get my work done and we'll play later. Oh, and his son has a little tear in his eye because he's so bored. And so he goes over and he plays for a couple of more minutes. And again, his father's doing his work. But a few minutes later, his son comes over and interrupts him and pulls on his shirt even harder this time. And he looks up to him with big eyes and he says, Daddy, please come and play with me. His father realizes he's not going to get any work done as long as his son is not occupied. Then he has a brilliant idea. He says, son, come with me for a minute. And they walk over together to where his father had seen the newspaper. And his father gets a scissors and he opens up the newspaper. And inside the newspaper, there's a picture of the world. So he cuts out the picture of the world. And he says, son, now watch what I do. And he takes his scissor and he cuts up the world into all these little pieces. And he says to his son, now, son, I want you to put all the pieces together again. So this is a beautiful puzzle now for the son to work on. And he knows this is going to take his son maybe 30 minutes to put the picture together if he ever gets it together. And he'll be able to, now his father said, I'm going to be able to get my work done. So he puts it over there in the corner, and his son starts working on it, and he starts getting to work on his important tasks. But not more than 5 minutes later, his son comes up to him, and he's all excited, and he looks up at his daddy, and he says, "Daddy, Daddy, come look, come look. I put the picture of the world together." His father is amazed. He says, "That's impossible. Come look, Daddy, come look." And the little boy grabs his hand, and he walks on over. And sure enough, the picture of the world is together. It's perfect. His father looks at him and he says, "Son, how did you put the picture of the world together so fast?" And his son looks at him and he smiles. And he says, "Well, Daddy, on the other side of the picture of the world was the picture of a man. And when I put that picture of the man together, world was together." When we put ourselves together, our world comes together. We have our personal world. When you put yourself together, your personal world comes together. When we all put ourselves together, the world truly does come together. But we've got to do it one person at a time. So the knowledge of Ayurveda is how to put yourself together. That's the knowledge of Ayurveda. How to put yourself together. And when we all put ourselves together, we'll really have world peace. World peace begins with peace inside of me. Harmony in the world begins with harmony inside of me. When the man comes together, the world comes together. When the person comes together, the world comes together. When the woman comes together, their world comes together. So many blessings to you on your journey toward optimum health and peace of mind. I hope you'll be able to join me at the retreat coming up in June in Pine Lake. Let's just take a moment and say namaste. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. Encore, I leave it to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. At a high level, the individual stories connecting to individuals, to us, to me, I felt it. And your calmness, it's just amazing how you have so much information, you're able to relay it in a really way that connects. So I'm so glad to have you on. I'm dropping details of the chat, details of the retreat into the chat. There's a link. It's going to be June 12th to June 15th at Pine Lake, as Dr. Mark mentioned. There's a little bit of the pricing per person, per family. We have shared houses. This is an opportunity to bring your family together and come out and enjoy something together, which would be pretty cool. We're making that a big part of how we're offering this retreat. So of course, Dr. Marc Halpern is going to be there. We're going to have Dr. Vaidya Rupali Panse. We're going to have another retreat talking about that diet aspect of the retreat next weekend. The recording of this will be available as well. So we're happy to take the rest of your questions. So it's Dr. Marc Halpern, it's Vaidya Rupali Panse, and then Kanadaji, who's amazing on the sitar with the kirtan in the evening, as Dr. Mark mentioned. So Raviji, hopefully I answered some of your questions. Please do keep them coming if you have any. Please put your questions in the chat or the Q&A box. Yeah. So Dr. Mark, you've been doing this for decades now. You've got the California College of Ayurveda in Northern California. You've, as I mentioned in your bio, started so many different associations of Ayurveda. And I loved how you talked about how retreats are an opportunity to escape, right? Not just escape, but to remove yourself from the challenges, the day-to-day stuff that brings us down, and to actually practice what we're preaching, what we're talking about. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, just your experiences as retreats and a course, because we have programs, we have the online courses, but this retreat is really an opportunity to take it up a level. And throughout your experience, how you've some of the other retreats you've done, the benefits, and how that's kind of something to
Sure.
share
I'd be happy
broadly.
to. Yeah, thank you, Ankur. So, well, first of all, yes, I've been doing this now for 35 years. I've been engaged in and focused on Ayurvedic medicine. Before that, I was focused in health as well on Ayurveda and diet, on chiropractic diet and nutrition. So I've been involved in the journey to heal myself now for more than 40 years. And that's important to me because, health is a big part of my own journey. I was crippled, some of you may know, in 1987. In fact, the book the story, my own healing, is told in a book called Healing Your Life. And that's why we have the title of this workshop, of this retreat rather, is called Healing Your Life. During that, I'll certainly talk about my own healing journey, but it's very much about your healing journey. Every person is on a healing journey. I've never met anyone that is not. When I say you're on a healing journey, it's because you want to have a deep, rich color and fully blossom as a human being, and none of us are reaching our full potential. And when we learn through Ayurveda how to reach our full potential, well, then we have the opportunity to actually do it. So the difference between a course and a retreat is that a course is very much about your intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge is very valuable. It really is. I mean, it makes us smart. It helps us to understand things at a deeper level. And then we take our knowledge and hopefully we can begin to integrate it into our lives. A retreat is a place where we actually do integrate it into our lives. It's where we strive to live the highest ideal of what we're learning. It doesn't mean we're going to be perfect, but it's going to be a playground for us to practice, a playground for us to be more harmonious. So you have the opportunity to begin to do the practices. You have the opportunity to do it. I want to talk about this aspect of it because I think it's really important. We often think that our practices maybe are just what we do first thing in the morning, maybe when we meditate, and what we do before we go to bed. Maybe we have a routine. Part of our Dinacharya, we focus on that morning routine, that evening routine, and then we get lost during the day. We get lost during the day into our work and into the dramas of our lives. In fact, when we talk about sadhana, which is practice, which is spiritual practice, I consider the most important part of sadhana not what I do during the morning and not what I do during the evening. It's not the meditation and the pranayama that I do, because that's in preparation for my day. I consider my sadhana to be my day. Am I living and bringing the knowledge of yoga and Ayurveda into every interaction that I'm having? When I'm speaking, am I speaking from that place? My sadhana is kindness all throughout the course of the day. My sadhana is love all throughout the course of the day. My sadhana is, can I remain in non-judgment and non-attachment while I'm performing my service throughout the course of the day? This is my true sadhana. And can I continue to remember my true nature while I'm going through my day? And if I do, when I have lunch, I'm going to choose healthy food. And when I have dinner, I'm going to choose healthy food. In other words, it becomes a healthy lifestyle. Now, I do get caught up in the dramas of life too sometimes. I do. And I go on retreats sometimes. Sometimes I just need to step out of the world. I know when I've gotten lost. Fortunately, I have enough awareness to know when I've gotten lost. When my stress level is rising, it just means I've gotten lost. If I'm in worry, anxiety, or fear, I've gotten lost. I'm getting too intense. I've gotten lost. I need to step out of it. I need to do something different to break that chain of thought in my mind. I need to do something different. And that something different is to go on a retreat just like this. I spend times on retreat. I spend times in ashrams. I spend times in different places, but all those places are for the purposes of bringing me back into awareness. So I invite you to join me and the other teachers who are going to be there in an opportunity to explore who you are, what makes you unique, how to live in harmony with who you are, and to actually get started doing it. That's a retreat. It's not about intellectual knowledge. It's about what you do. As Swami Shivananda said, an ounce of practice is worth more than a ton of theory.
Nice. Again, well said. I can't appreciate it more. Niti Ji from New York City, thank you for joining. Mohan Ji from Orlando, glad that you're here. Chebuluji from Hyderabad, India, thank you for joining. I got this one poll about webinar attendance. I'll share it real quick. Then I got the next poll about the retreat. Your first HUA webinar, 13 first-timers. Thank you for joining. 9 regulars. Thank you for joining. And a lot of you have attended before. And for how many of you have taken courses? About 14 of you. 2 of you are enrolled in programs. The 25 of you who are considering taking courses, please do. Maybe a retreat is a way to get started on this path. And the 6 of you who are not interested in courses, maybe you're interested in retreats, but we're always glad to have you on these webinars. Let me launch the quick poll. Let us know if you're interested in enrolling in this retreat, the Healing Your Life retreat. And then if you're interested in taking Ayurveda courses at HUA or CCA, the California College of Ayurveda, we can do some follow up afterwards. Let me just share some photos of the space. Here is kind of glimpses from previous retreats, right? There's the campus. Actually, maybe this one's a little bit better of just, is the right screen? Yeah. So this is what the Pine Lake retreat looks like. You have either a chalet or a shared house, depending on what you choose. And there's a lot, like it is a retreat. It is the opportunity to connect with nature and live that healthy lifestyle and get on a Dinacharya, a daily routine, and live that aspect of it. So as Dr. Mark was saying, so let me drop the details. Actually, the details are still in the chat. One more time, I'll just put it in there. 12th to the 15th, coming up in June. So, about a month, a little bit more than a month to make your decision. And oh, here's another part of it that I can share. Just, of course, we have Dr. Marc Halpern. We got Dr. Rupali Panse, Vaidya, kind of Ayurvedic doctor, and Dr. Kannada Narahari. So these are the 3 faculty we'll have for the Ayurveda retreat. We're actually also running a Sanskrit retreat in parallel. So there'll be different folks doing different retreats, just 2 of them at the same time, and then an opportunity to connect. So maybe some members of your family are into Ayurveda and somebody is into Sanskrit. That could be a good combination to realize. And again, this link is in the chat, so I'll be happy to continue to take questions. What do we have in the Q&A box? Namaste. Yes, I have knee pain. Please and thanks. So anybody who has health issues will be happy to, pick you up in the golf cart and drive you around, make it as easy as possible. But that's the second question also, pain relief. So maybe this is something that you get into, right? There's so many different challenges that we face, but that physical pain, that maybe aging, the arthritis, the different ways that our bodies age and take on challenges, and how you help address that through Ayurveda and your experience with that as well. Dr. Mark?
Yeah, sure. Your pain is the number one thing that brings people to the doctor. There's all different kinds of pain. Pain in the knee, pain in the back, pain in the head, headaches. Pain is the nemesis. So what is pain? Pain is actually your body's voice. Think about that. Pain is your body's voice, and it's communicating something to you. It's certainly telling you, not to do things that cause pain. That's obvious. We don't really think about that so much. Now, maybe we do a little bit when, we have a bad knee and maybe we shouldn't, if we run, it really hurts our knee. So the pain is telling us don't run. But there's more to it than that. Pain is communicating disharmony to us. It's telling us that we are out of harmony somewhere in our lives. And that's showing up in the weak part of our body. The weak part of our body might be our knee in one person, our ankle in another, the headache for another person. It could even be an organ, a kidney. It could be the intestines. Wherever that weakness is in the body, when we're out of harmony, then that part of the body is going to speak to us. It's actually a gift. Pain is an incredible gift because it's asking us to look deeper and to say, where is this coming from? Where am I out of harmony? And the answer to that has to be explored. That's what an Ayurvedic practitioner does. It could be in your diet, right? That's one of the senses. Could be in your habits for how you're using your eyes. What are you looking upon all the time? Your ears, your nose, your touch. You might think, how could that possibly hurt my knee? How could what I smell hurt my knee? It doesn't make any sense at all. But it does. Because what you smell impacts your physiology. And what's impacting your physiology affects your immune system. Pain in the body is an immune response. And so it can trigger the immune response, and it can trigger it in a way that causes us pain. Autoimmune disease tends to be that way. There's other ones too. But the point is that the pain is our body's voice communicating to us. So an Ayurvedic practitioner, the work they do with you is to try to examine every part of your life, your lifestyle, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. And we say, where are you in harmony? And where are you out of harmony? And it's amazing, as we start creating a lifestyle of harmony, stress decreases, healing increases, and even a physical problem in the knee begins to heal. Maybe you have a problem with the meniscus, which is the little disc in your knee, or maybe a ligament or a muscle tension that's affecting your knee. It all starts to heal when you reduce stress and you live harmoniously. Of course, there are herbs that we give, herbal medicines that we give, and other techniques that we'll do in our clinic that are for pain reducing. Of course, yeah. I mean, we all want to reduce pain. We have symptomatic treatments. But the beautiful thing about Ayurveda is it goes deeper than the symptom. It goes to the cause. And that's what we look at. So that's my answer about pain.
Mm. Great. And actually in the retreat, you're going to do individualized discussions, right? Talk to each participant and figure out their doshas and their prakriti and what they can do, at least as part of the entire retreat. I think that's part of the plan as well. And so each of you would get some individualized attention, as Dr. Mark says, and now I've absorbed, everything is not right for everyone, but something is right for everyone.
That's right. Nothing is right for everyone.
So if you want to
Everything
talk
is
about that.
Nothing is right for everyone. Everything is right for someone. So I often shock my students. So I'm going to shock all of you right now with what I'm about to say. Okay. I'd rather see you eat Big Mac properly than kitchery in the car on the way to work. I would rather, I'm going to even say this, for the right person, a Big Mac is medicine. For a right person, a Big Mac is medicine. Who could Big Mac be medicine for? Ayurveda teaches that everything, even a toxin used properly, becomes a medicine. And a medicine used improperly becomes a toxin. So let's stick with the kitchery and the Big Mac. If you're starving and you're dying and all there is a Big Mac, that's medicine for you. That's medicine for you. Okay. Now, if you're eating khichdi in the car on the way to work, and you're driving to work and somebody cuts you off, and you're angry, and you're irritated, and you're late for work because there's traffic, and you're driving and you're shoveling food in your mouth while you're driving, you're not even chewing that food, and you're driving some more and you're angry at that person, and you get a little food in your mouth and you drive a little bit more, you're going to have indigestion. Indigestion. Yeah. And that indigestion is going to produce a toxin in your body called ama. And that ama is going to cause you to get sick and diseased. So I'd rather see you sit down, say a prayer. Yeah. You're starving. So all there is this Big Mac. I'd rather see you sit down, say a prayer, give thanks for this gift to save your life, and honor the spirit of the animal, and eat only the amount that is going to sustain you. Chew your food properly. Be in gratitude. Know that your digestion is divine. Know that this food is divine that you're consuming. And know that when you get strong and get well, you will do divine things in the world. If you sit down with that mindset and you take that food, which is a toxin, it becomes a medicine. If you take the khichdi in the car on the way to work, it becomes a toxin.
Yeah, definitely a little surprising, but interesting exploration of that idea of when it's right to eat or when it's best for you to eat what you're eating. We on our planning call, we talked about it, right? During the retreat, we're going to have a properly planned diet, and each meal will be thoughtfully pieced together. There will be khichdi, there won't be Big Macs at the retreat. Um, but yeah, so this retreat is holistic. We're gonna take from morning to evening. We're gonna have all these aspects, and it's gonna be a real opportunity. It's gonna be a great time. I hope Kalyanji sends me. I've been asking him. I hope I get to attend the webinar. But if you haven't yet filled out the poll, let us know if you're interested in enrolling in this retreat. If you maybe have to minimize and maximize, and then you can let us know. All right, we have definitely crossed the hour. I don't see too many more questions. This is your last chance to get your questions in the Q&A box. Maybe if you want to shout out, you can put where you're zooming in from in the chat. Uh, I'm always glad to host these, especially with folks like Dr. Marc Halpern. Amazing to have you on. I'm so glad that HUA and CCA have come together. It really is amazing what we are doing, where we are going, and how we are going to inform, educate, connect with so many people at Hindu University of America and the CCA, the California College of Ayurveda, on so much of this ancient knowledge that really does apply to our modern lives. So many aspects of what you talked about, I'm like, oh, I need to, the social media, what we're consuming mentally, visually, the video games, whatever it is that we're into, how you really spoke to me, and I hope to the audience as well. And I think during the retreat, you'll get extra attention in person. And this is on webinar, on a Zoom, right? Just through screens. In person, it's at a whole different level, which we hope you can enjoy and you will enjoy. So with that, that is it for me. Please do enroll. Click those links. Let us know if you're interested. Dr. Marc, let me hand it to you for some closing thoughts. Doesn't look like we had any more questions. Yes, Priyaji, thank you very much for enjoying and being part of here. Vipulji, yes, Khichdi is the best. It was a great session. Thank you. Appreciate you. And Dr. Marc, let me hand it to you for closing thoughts statement.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to say just a few final thoughts before we conclude today, and that is this. When you're living in harmony, you're going to be balanced on the inside. That's going to be expressed through everything that you do. You'll be healthy, you'll have peace of mind, and the natural expression of that is love. That's really what it is. And love has infinite facets. You will find yourself kinder to others, more generous with everything that you have, you will hold on less tightly. You will have more integration with everyone and everything. You will be respectful to others. This is all facets of love. People don't think of respect as being love, but it is. Respect is a facet of love. Kindness is a facet of love. Generosity is a facet of love. Supporting others is a facet of love. Empathy is a facet of love. Compassion is a facet of love. These are our highest virtues. You become your highest self. And that's the promise of Ayurveda. That's the promise of yoga. That's what we're all working toward. And I look forward to spending sacred time with all of you as we explore this together. And hopefully at the end of the retreat, and I believe that it will certainly be true, we will all be a little bit more loving and bring that love out into the world with us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.